We are often told to go with the flow, but I feel like no one really talks about how challenging that can be when you've made a plan, you kind of married to that plan, and then things don't go as planned. So, how do we navigate that? Still honor ourselves and what it is that we wanted to do, and navigate that for ourselves and for our partners that may be frustrated with us when we get frustrated about a plan that did not go so well because maybe they're the loosey goosey one that's always going with the flow. So, let's get into it. But first, hey, I'm Imani, marriage coach. So, yes, I talk a lot about relationships, but here we're talking about life, okay? Figuring yourself out, navigating through change, and what that all looks like in real time. So, let's talk about it. I know that we we often are told that we should just like move with the flow, go with the flow, pivot, change, and I'm here for it. I definitely talk with myself, and I talk with my spouse, and even with couples that I work with. I talk about like the power of the pivot, being able to shift through change when something doesn't go as planned. But that's because in my own mental, because I'm about half and half on this, and my ability to do it, I have ways that I talk to myself and talk through those moments of change that I don't want to be changed. I want this to go off well. I had planned this to a T. I'm a free spirit, I'm a creative spirit, but I have some type A tendencies. Okay. I'm a Pisces, so maybe that's how the fish go. And it can be frustrating. It can be frustrating because you're frustrated with yourself, even though maybe it's not even your fault, right? The way that things went. Sometimes there are just things that are outside of our control, and it can be frustrating because maybe it frustrated our partners who are more loosey goosey and go with the flow, and that's just not necessarily your energy, or it's not your energy in this instance or all the time. So I want to talk about why that can be challenging. One, it's because of control. We mentioned that earlier. There is comfort in control. Control gets a bad rap, or like you should let go, and there's things you can't control. This is all true, but there is a distinction between having control over things and taking control over the things you can control, and being controlling, right? Those are two different things, and I think really the bad rap goes to being controlling. So just having some semblance of control can be comforting, feeling like we can plan some things through, feeling like we have we have a preview of maybe what's to come or what our expectations are, can actually settle our nervous system depending on the type of person you are. It can feel comforting to have that level of control. Now, the issue comes in when something outside of your control happens that puts a wrench in those plans, and now you feel out of control. So that can make you anxious or make you feel overwhelmed. And a lot of times, we just have to sit with it. Like, you just got to sit with it and sit in it. And the first thing I do is honor the fact that it doesn't feel good. You can have a moment like this. I didn't like this. This sucks. Like have your emotional moment with it. And some things I'm like, it's whatever. It's cool. We'll just do this. Other things I am like, oh, I cannot believe that this is happening. My husband's like, it's okay. It's not that. It's not. It's all right. It's not. And I was like, for me in this moment, it is. And so I will request like a moment to just be like, look, I'm going to come out of it. I just need to be in my feelings for a second. I just need to be frustrated. I need to be annoyed by this situation. And then I can come back to it. And it's an important element to honor that moment, because I think the expectation that we have, the expectation that maybe your partner has of you, is that it's going to be like a light switch. You're going to be like, oh, things didn't go as planned. Great. I'll just, do this. And that's some people's personality, but that's not everybody. And some of us just need a minute to transition, need a minute to shift, need a minute to be like, okay, I need to mourn what I thought was going to be so that I can be open to what is. We talk a lot about that in transitions in life. Like if somebody's getting breaking up in a relationship, we'll say, okay, you might need to mourn that relationship before you're open and ready to move on into a new relationship. It's not like, oh, that relationship's done, boom, light switch, I can move on. Again, some people might be able to do that. I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about this. So the people that can't, that's what the example's for. Or for people that for whom that is challenging, that's who we're talking about. But we make those that we create that space for people to have that gap and that transition when things happen, when there's change. But when the change is quote unquote small, we feel like, oh, you should get over it really quickly. The truth is, things don't necessarily feel small because of all the things that are happening on the inside. The overwhelm, a bit of anxiousness, the annoyance, the frustration. That's all an energy that happens, right? And so you give yourself time to have it and know that you're going to come out of it. Mourn the moment, then come up out of the moment. And the more we do that, and I notice for me, the more that I do it, I have found that I'm not in the moment that long. I can pivot a lot quicker. Over the years, I have. I'm a quick pivoter now in my life. I was not always a quick pivoter, and there's still some instances in which I need to have a moment because it depends on what it is. I'm not always like, okay, but I do understand the power of pivoting. For example, I remember I had planned this date, like I planned it out, and it was a super simple date, but I was like, me and my man are gonna go to a park we haven't been to. I scoped it out. They have a lot of like open green space and it's really nice. It's not very crowded with a lot of kids. I love the kids, but if we're going to be without the kids, it's not, it's like a over to the side kind of park situation as opposed to it being more of a big park that's attracting a lot of people, a lot of noise. So it was really chill. It was really nice. It was next to a good restaurant. We can bring some stuff. We can bring our food. It's going to be great. And then it rained. And you might be like, girl, did you check the forecast? I did. And the weather app said it wasn't going to rain. Okay. And so then it rained. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was disappointed, but I wasn't disappointed for long, but I was disappointed because I was like, oh, this is a perfect park. I was like, we can do it another day. And I brought everything inside, set it up real plush and nice in our bedroom with our sparkling cider and our food and propped up the biggest laptop screen we had if we wanted to watch a movie, which we weren't going to do outside. So that was like a bonus. We got to watch a little something, catch up on some stuff that we watched together, brought our coloring books, and we had the picnic inside. Was it the same as like breathing the fresh open air and being out on the grass? And no, it's not. It was not the same. However, the point and the purpose was for us to spend time together. So I didn't have to they say throw the baby out with the bathwater. I didn't have to just mix everything. I could pivot. I could be like, okay, so we're not going to be outside. We're going to be inside and we're still going to be together, which is the whole point of this thing in the first place. And we have another day. We could do this again. We could do this at another point. We can go. And those are the kind of conversations you have. But I did sit with a disappointment for a second, like, shoot, man, the weather, I had to get the vent. The weather said it wasn't, weather app didn't say it was going to rain, and then it's just going to rain. How you just going to rain when, I try to have this picnic? And, I had my moment, short lived, and then I pivoted. And sitting with it is real. And then figuring out now what? And that's what I did. Like, now what? Now, how can I move with the current reality that I'm in? Because it's probably not as bad. The change up is not as bad as we think it in the head. We still need our moment, might need our moment, but it's not as bad as we think in our heads. Our heads are usually way more imaginative than our reality. And so once we have our moment, we can come to a space of reality. Like, in reality, is it that bad? Can we salvage this? Can we pivot? The what now? And that's what I'll ask myself. And that's what I asked myself in that moment. That's why we ended up moving the picnic inside. Instead of just postponing it for another day, then that would have sucked because we wouldn't have had that intentional time together. And I'd be like, oh, we have to wait now until it's not a rainy day or whatever. I'm like, nah, that's just a reason disguised as an excuse. How do we actually pivot this thing, make it work, salvage it, even if it looks different than what we had in our head? And that, my friends, is a powerful thing. That has been a game changer just in my life. I know in the lives of the couples that I talk to who are quick to just nix things when their plans fall through. And it has also been a game changer just to navigate this with my husband. There are things that he is really kind of on it and like wanting it to happen a certain way and it doesn't, and it frustrates him. There are things that he's really laid back about and it's like it's all cool. Same with me, and we're able to navigate that together, and we're able to give each other space to have our moment if we need to have it, and then to figure out what we're going to do next. Sometimes you're going to be figuring it out together, sometimes you're figuring it out by yourself, but yet and still we have the opportunity to figure it out. 9 times out of 10, we can figure something out that still feels good, and it just looks different than what we expected. And maybe it's better. Maybe it's eye opening. Maybe it's revelatory. Who knows? But if we don't even move with that kind of mindset, we stay stuck. And that's the place we don't want to be, right? We don't want to feel stuck. We don't want to be stuck in our frustration. We don't be stuck in our annoyance. We don't be stuck in feeling like, everything sucks now. Like we want to be like, how do we move through this? And that's a way to be in so many aspects of our life when things don't go in the way that we planned. I had no clue when we moved abroad, for example, how things were going to go. Like we planned some things out, but we were also really kind of taking a leap with it and being like, we can shift and change as we need to, because we didn't visit Panama before we moved here. We did research, quantitative, qualitative, all the things, but we didn't visit prior to, which folks are like, oh, that's okay. I get a lot of interesting facial expressions around that. That's bold. I feel like they want to use a different word, but it's all good because for us, it made sense for us. We were on the same page about it, but we didn't know how things were going to flow. And even with our preparedness, the ways that we did prepare, there were things we couldn't prepare for. And that in and of itself is like something, a mantra to have in the back of our head. You can prepare and prepare and prepare, but there are going to be things you just can't prepare for. So, be mentally prepared, emotionally prepared as much as you can for the fact that there are going to be things that you can't prepare for. And it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna learn and move through it. We're gonna learn through it. And that's what we've done. And that's what you do. You got this. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. For being here, for having this conversation. If you've made it this far, roll call. Say hey, let me know in the comments down below that you're here so I can see you. It lets me know that, hey, this is more than just a one-way conversation with me and a camera, because I am imagining real human people in the age of AI on the other side of this conversation, or the other side of a phone or a tablet or a computer. So thank you. All right. So if you don't know, I'm here making videos to help us stay connected, to remind us to stay connected to ourselves, to yourself, to your partner, and to creating the life that feels good to you. So if that's your vibe, please subscribe. Let's continue the journey together in real time. Let's continue the conversation. And yeah, if you like this video or something resonated, let me know in the comments. If you want more insight, if you just want like more, you're like, I'm a person that I want to be in it a little bit more. I want a little more conversation. I want a little bit more insight and depth into connection and communication with self and with partner, then meet me in the description below. And I'm going to see you tomorrow.